she's missing.
Kristen.
Oh, Kristen.
But she isn't in here until the next round. So
You got
we're
it. Okay.
good. There you go.
All right. Call to order the special meeting of the Board of Directors, North Yuba Water District, Thursday, January 31st at 4:02. Okay. Agendized items. Opportunity for public comment on agendized items will be provided only at the time they are addressed by the committee or board. Unagendized items. The opportunity for public comment on any other items of interest within the jurisdiction of the board will be provided only during the public input item agendized below specifically for this purpose. Time limitations. Public comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker, 10 minutes total for all speakers combined for the agenda item entitled consent items, and 3 minutes per speaker and 10 minutes total for all speakers combined for each remaining agenda item. Roll call, please.
Director Nielsen.
Here.
Director Brown.
Here.
Director Hazzard.
Yep.
Director Hawthorne.
Here.
Director, I'm sorry, it's just a new name.
Floor, here.
Thank you.
Okay. Pledge of Allegiance, please stand.
It's over there.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item C, public input. The opportunity for public comment on any non-agendized item within the jurisdiction of the district. However, no action may be taken by the board on these topics or matters presented during the public input. Public must address the board on specific agendized items only during the board's consideration of that item. Public input?
In the order it was received, Buck Weckman asked to speak. Yeah, by the way, you don't want me.
No, that's.
Should ask.
That was quick. Buck Weckman. I'm a 37-year residential customer of the district. I'd like to go on record as being in favor of our southern neighbors to the south being provided irrigation water when it's available. And I'm confident that that's what you people are working for. So I'd just like to be on the record of that. The subject tonight really is an organization called North Yuba Water Alliance. I think that falls under your jurisdiction. You've been addressed many times through that nebulous organization. I need to be brief because we've got a time frame. But that organization never really gives any identification, no substantiation for what they have to say. For example, just recently, on January 24th, they sent out a letter that was entitled, "Beware of imposters stirring up fear," and, well, something else there. But anyway, you guys were mentioned numerous times, along with many people in the community they attacked. And 2 emails went on the 24th, and they were a little different than basically the same. But in some areas they listed other names. But really what they were was a lot of false information. Included me in relation to this organization. And one of the accusations they make is this mythical marijuana operation that I run in Butte County, and how that eventually will relate to this organization. Offer no proof, never do. They even tried to bring in 2 of our board of supervisors, the 2 that sit on the ad hoc marijuana committee, implying that they were investigating me. So I just shipped off a copy of their North Yuba Water Alliance email that we received to those two supervisors. And I'll let them speak to their own responses. First one said, "Good morning, Buck. I've never heard of the North Yuba Water Alliance, nor have I researched you or your family, especially with respect to connections to the marijuana industry. In addition, I have no knowledge of any committee member involved in what is presented in that letter." Second one even gets better. Get this here, these papers sticking together. That one states, his response is, "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. As a supervisor, it is not a task to investigate members of our county. I've never sought information regarding anyone's family, let alone yours, Mr. Weckman. This is a blatant false statement." That's what he says about the letter. What I see is yet another attempt to insert rumor and hope that is taken as fact. That's what those two supervisors' opinion was of that North Yuba Water Alliance letter.
Okay, let's,
We done with time?
Yep.
You have the timer right there.
So we're out of time?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I thank you for your time. Just wanted to say that it takes courage for you up here and for me to be here and present ourselves. North Yuba Water Alliance doesn't have that courage. They hide behind anonymity.
Let's Alton Wright.
I'll pass, thank you.
Donna Corson.
Okay, I'm Donna Corson. I live in Dobbins, and I've been there for 45 years. I have 3 letters and a 4th letter that we wrote to Garamendi thanking him for his involvement. I'll give you copies of each of them afterwards so that I don't run out of time here. At the November 30th, 2018 meeting, Director Ferguson violated the Brown Act by speaking in a derogatory and insulting manner to a newly elected board director. No one on the former board stopped the tirade. What action has been taken to remedy this violation and this behavior? By rewarding Director Ferguson with a resolution of thanks? This is the first and only such resolution we have ever seen. No previous board director has been thanked upon their departure using a resolution. "I don't trust you people out there," to quote Director Ferguson's reprehensible comment of disdain for the public. As a remedy, we request Director Ferguson and the former board be called upon to publicly apologize for his bully behavior displayed toward Director Floor within the 30-day Brown Act remedy process. My second letter, I would like to request that all board packets be provided electronically to all public members who request them. Alternatively, the board packet could be placed on the NYWD website to be downloaded by the public. The board packet should be available to the public when it's made available to the board of directors. Further, this would give the public the opportunity to review the board packet and have questions ready when attending the board meetings. It is part of the public's right to know and contributes to the transparency of this public agency. And then my third letter, I am asking each director to explain to us whether each of you have personally reviewed the Forbes-Town ditch plans before the plans were sent to the water agency. If not, why would the plans be sent out to any outside agency before the NYWD Board of Directors had the opportunity to review the plans? Why would the plans be sent out to any outside agency before the customers of this district and public have had the opportunity to review the plans and make comment? Why have the plans been sent to the Yuba County Water Agency only and not to South Feather Water and Power? If sending the plans to the County Water Agency was sent to request financial assistance, South Feather is our present business partner. It seems only fitting to include a partner who has equal interest on a personal business stake in the Forbstown ditch construction. Thank you.
That was all that actually requested.
Do we have to fill out one of those to speak?
Well,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can I do that, please? I didn't realize it was a requirement. Is that true? It's a requirement?
Yes.
Okay. Is there,
Does anyone else want?
Right, we're not taking any more though. We have to have those in before we start.
oh, is that also a policy as well?
That's
Okay, we
the-
can address the fee.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll do it.
Item D, election of board officers. So at this time,
What happened?
we'll be electing our president. Do I have any nominations for president?
you, I nominate Eric Hanser.
Okay. I'll second that. I'll,
Are you allowed to?
Wait, I think there has to be a motion first, right?
okay, so you make a motion to.
I make a motion.
Okay, and I second the motion. I feel like I've been vice president, naturally I move into president. All right. So I have a first, I have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hang on one second. You have a motion, you have a second, discussion, and then public comment.
Okay. All right, so I have a first, I have a second. Any discussion? Okay. Public comment. Okay, hearing none.
Public comment is related to what?
The
Any?
agenda item.
This agenda item.
What's happening?
The election.
The president of officers. The president.
I'm still trying to understand why we didn't allow, why we were not permitted our 10 minutes of public input. I don't know why we were shut down. We only had 6 minutes gone.
We're past.
We had 10 minutes.
We're on item D right now, which is the election of board officers.
I make an objection about that would pass
So I
us.
have a first, I have a second. Any other public comment? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Yes, I did.
Now, do I have any nomination for vice president?
I would like to nominate Terry Brown for vice president.
And I'll second that. Any discussion?
Lock the door, you're not supposed to stand
No,
here.
don't discuss
That's the fire problem.
I think it still sounds like a great idea.
I don't think he'd be a good person.
Okay. All right, so I have a first, I have a second. Any public comment for the nomination of Terry Brown for vice president?
I'd like to make a comment that I think that's an excellent choice, since Mr. Brown represents both domestic and irrigation customers.
I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to second that. I've known Terry Brown for a long time, encouraged him to run. I'm really glad to see him stepping up.
No, I'm just a slow rider, but I think I have it, I have it. Gretchen made is the first, you're the second. Board discussion was none, and I got public comment.
Anyone else? Okay, so for the vote for Terry Brown for vice president, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Terry, did you vote aye?
Did I?
Did you vote in?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, item E, closed session, conference with legal counsel. So at this time, I'm gonna ask that we clear the room. We're gonna be going into closed session, and I need to have all electronic devices, okay. Now we're good.
Point of order, you're supposed to ask the public if they have any comments.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. bear with me.
That's
Okay,
fine.
public comment?
I'd like to make a couple of comments, please. The item on the agenda for closed session, Mr. Alan Lilly here, has been an item on the agenda for many, many years to try to put our two permits to beneficial use. The permit 11516, the oldest, 11518 that we acquired from South Feather in the 2005 agreement. I'm requesting and hoping that Mr. Lilly speaks to the board about the doctrine of public trust and about putting the water to beneficial use, because in the years 2016 and the years 2018, the permit 11516 was not put totally to beneficial use, and there was a need for it in Oregon House and Dobbins, and the people down in those communities were denied water.
Okay, thank you. Any more? Okay, hearing none, we'll go into closed session.
Going home,
We've got an absentee we're waiting for.
So we have a list of all the things he just volunteered for, right?
You're not here to protect yourself.
That's
You
right.
get
You get all the duties.
Just swing on the gate.
Does he know he was volunteered for all that stuff?
Yep.
Oh, we'll wait for a
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay. Come back into order at 4 minutes after 5. We have no reportable action taken during closed session. Item F, consent items. This will be for the approval of the minutes for the special board meeting of November 30th, 2018. Approval of payroll for the month of November. Approval of payroll for the month of December. Approval of bills for the month of November. And approval for the bills for the month of December.
Can we have the first item split out as a separate vote? I wasn't here,
Yeah.
and so I'm abstaining on that, but the others will be.
Okay, so yeah, so you
Is that
would make a motion to,
Well, I ask motion to split number 1 out, approval of minutes for special board meeting.
Second.
okay, first, second.
So we have 2 separate consents.
Okay, so all in favor of approving consent item, we'll actually take that back. Public comment?
Yeah, board member comment.
Wait, we had that first of Doug, who was the second?
Gary.
Gary, thank you.
Any other comments from the directors on that? Public comment?
Yes, please.
You didn't want the name anyway.
I know my name.
My comment is, my name is Jeanette Cavalier, and my comment is specifically on the approval of minutes for special board meeting of November 30th, 2018. I was not present at that meeting, and I believe everyone on the board was there except Director Nielsen.
That's
And at the last regular board meeting of November 30th, 2018, Mr. Ferguson, on his departure speech, said some very derogatory, hurtful things in reference to me. I find it irreprehensible that this board and the secretary to the board, Mr. Moffin, did not stop him. Each member of the board and the manager are culpable of these remarks. Today on the agenda, Resolution 19-729, Appreciation for Donnie Ferguson. I would like to request that the board votes a disapproval of that resolution.
Anyone else?
Oh, boy. My name is Donna Corson, Dobbins, California. Members of the public address the board. I've asked before that our names be mentioned in the minutes and that our concerns actually be mentioned, our subjects be mentioned in the minutes. I hope that you'll take that up as a board and discuss it at some point so that the people that come here to be part of this organization are actually heard and it's part of the minutes. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none? Okay, so this is for consent item number 1. All in favor, say aye. For approval.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay. The ayes have it, so it passes. It's approved.
I move that we accept 2 through 5.
Okay, I have a first.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
Have a second. Any other discussion? Public comment? Hearing none. All in favor of approving consent items 2, 3, 4, and 5, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none. Consent items 2.
Sorry, was that unanimous?
Yes,
Okay.
Unanimous on
yes. There was no nays. There were no nays.
that. No abstaining.
There were no abstain, there was all ayes, as far as I heard anyway. That's what my ears tell me.
Thank you.
Yeah, nobody wanted to. Item G, financial manager's report. This is the item.
Okay. As of December 31st, 2018, total cash in all accounts, including reserves, was $4,837,886.50. Total income fiscal year to date, which is July to December 31st, total income was $2,270,434.03. Total expenses were $882,834.22, leaving a net profit of $1,387,599.81. Not including labor, the district spent so far $14,763.75 on engineering for the Dobbins Oregon House ditch and $58,620.75 on the pipe and the supplies. And also for tonight, after the board meeting, since we have a new board member, I have for the county and for Rabobank, I have signature sheets that I would need every board member to sign. And I'll have those for you after the board meeting. And that concludes my report.
All of us?
Yes.
Okay.
Your signature changes when you get older.
You don't know the half of it.
Okay, should we do public comment on financial report or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so any other comments from the directors on that? Nothing? Public comment for financial manager's report?
I just have a question. Has the district received reimbursement yet from the USBR grant for the monies on the Dobbins Canal? 75.
Bureau of Reclamation. $75,000 grant?
The water smart grant.
Yeah, we'll be discussing that under the North Star staff update. But the only monies that have been expended on the lower ditch have been the district's money.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. So, need a motion to approve the financial manager's report.
I make a motion to approve the financial manager's report.
Second.
Second. Okay. All in favor of approving item G, financial manager's report, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. None opposed, so. Item H, resolution 19-729, expressing appreciation to Donald Ferguson.
Point of order, I don't think this resolution was introduced properly. The proceedings, it's not in accordance with the Brown Act.
I'd like to, I've got some comments on this before we move forward, if that's all right. I had some concerns, and I mulled it over for quite some time. I'd like to postpone this. Ultimately, I'll tell you my feelings, and ultimately I'm going to ask the manager to do some things for us. But when I first came on this board 2 years ago, I think at the second meeting I asked members at that time, because I came from a municipal city background, and it was always common practice for resolutions for outgoing board members on the city council or employees. And we had 4 members going out at that time, and there didn't seem to be any interest on doing a resolution for those outgoing members. So it fell by the wayside. And now we come with another resolution for an outgoing board member. I have a very difficult time with that. I think a resolution should be used to show our appreciation for organizations, board members, individuals that help this district move forward. And I think someone that serves on this board should receive a resolution. I would ask the manager to bring back a policy, a draft policy to us within the next couple of weeks so that it can be in place by the next board meeting for issuing resolutions to specific groups and to board members. I think that every board member that serves on this board deserves that recognition. It ain't fun up here sometimes. And I'm only doing 2 years so far. And I would ask that the board consider going back 2 years to the outgoing board members that were here and left at that time, and that we continue with Don Ferguson's resolution. He served on this board, be it right or wrong. Did he say some bad things? Yeah, maybe. Did he do some good things for this board? Yes. Did the outgoing board members 2 years ago do good things? Yes, they did. Did they do some things that didn't make people happy? Yeah. But I think we need to be fair. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, if you're irrigation or domestic, that you should be recognized for your service. So I would ask, and I know this is probably strange, but I'd ask that this board direct the manager to do that, and that we look at a presentation to all those outgoing board members when and if this is in place and we approve it, and we recognize everyone who wants.
You're here.
with that, we would need to have a second to have
I
that.
second.
Hold it, I have a question.
I don't,
What's on the agenda
We need
is
to
the
get it on
approval
the-
or disapproval of the resolution. So it seems to me, I'm trying to be you, but either by no first or second, by no first, the motion dies, by no second, the motion dies.
well, it's not clear what the motion actually is. It appears to be a motion
That's
that
true.
to, so we need to clear up what is it that we're really asking here. It appears to be a motion to table this resolution to a future agenda item and to give direction to staff to create a new policy. A policy of I would call it appreciation policy.
And we want to get it on the agenda for the next meeting.
So
Right.
that would have to come up in the director's input, right?
But that,
The
the
policy
question
would
is,
come
the
up
question
next.
is that the motion?
Yeah.
What is it that you're requesting?
I'm requesting that this resolution be set aside or tabled, as you mentioned, and that the manager and staff create a draft policy for our review within the next 2 weeks, so that it's ready for the next meeting that's scheduled. And that we recognize not only this resolution, but members from the last board from 2 years ago, make it retroactive.
So you're asking for this resolution to be put on a future, the next agenda, the next month's agenda, and then you can add other things to that agenda outside of this resolution.
Well, there's two things, the policy and this resolution,
In the past.
and they're separate.
If we,
Well, no, he's making one motion to table this resolution, table this
Until
item,
such time as.
and directing staff to prepare a policy. So that's what I hear is the
Mhm.
motion.
And I second it.
this is already on the agenda. If nobody seconds it, it dies. It goes
Right.
away. We can bring it back at any time we deem necessary. We can let it stay gone. If you want to have it rewritten, the policy rewritten in the motion, make that, nobody second this guy, and we just make a motion for next month, having a better policy for putting out appreciation,
If everybody agrees with that.
if everybody agrees. But this here, we either, you don't make a motion to accept, or we don't second it, it goes away.
Yeah, it's another approach.
Yeah. And it doesn't
There's
stop
a
us
few
at
ways
some
you can
later
go about
date
it.
if somebody
So,
chooses to
really,
bring it back.
it comes down to whatever your desire is, we
Yeah.
will vote
Well,
But it makes it cleaner too
either
for,
for it or against it.
your main thing
If
is
you
to
table
have
it.
a policy for
he's gonna have to
appreciation.
withdraw his first proposed resolution, right, in order to take on a different
You would have,
route.
you understand that? You would
No, I
have,
didn't.
you would have to withdraw your first, you would have to withdraw your second. And if you do that, then this item dies.
If nobody else makes a motion.
And then in directors,
And then during
Comments,
director's input,
you
he
can bring it
back
back and ask for people.
So I withdraw my second.
No withdrawal or
Motion dies. Or actually,
So
the
now you
item-
can-
item dies for lack of motion.
Well, now you bring it back. Now, is there anybody that's willing to make
Right,
a
is anybody,
second motion?
item H,
Do we
we
wait for
hear,
the director's input to make that second motion? Or can we make it off? It's not on the agenda.
Well,
We usually ask for
the
agenda
motion
items.
just died. The
This
motion
one's
was
in.
just withdrawn, so the item is still sitting on the calendar. I mean, it's still on your agenda for discussion. So you're back to the item again. 'Cause you-
So during director's input, then he can make a recommendation for what he'd
Right.
like.
correct,
Got
and
it.
then that would be on the agenda for the next
You-
meeting, if we agree at that meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so it's open again to anybody else right now. It's still out on the table. You've withdrawn.
Mhm.
Do I hear any more?
I make a motion, we table this until the policy is provided.
Okay.
I second that motion.
So have it that Gary Hawthorne, Director Hawthorne, has tabled item H for a later date.
That's the motion pending, now is discussion.
Okay. And that's it, right? We move on. It's tabled.
No.
We have to
The
approve
motion
the
is to
table.
table it.
And we had a
Okay.
It's been
second.
second, so
Okay,
now there's
so now-
discussion.
Any discussion, any other director's discussion on the tabling of item H? Okay. Public comment. Oops, sorry. Hearing none?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to express appreciation for Terry Brown's sincere thoughts, and I really appreciate that you thought about it and that you stood up this way.
And I also second that to Terry Brown. Was very, very centrist. And I also believe that these resolutions of thank, even though they are in service, there is a degree to their behavior. And I think that needs to be recognized. Because there was reprehensible behavior by the past director. And we have Brown Act after Brown Act violations by that director.
Thank you. Any more? Hearing none. All in favor of tabling item H, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, item H will be tabled, and when it's tabled like this, it can be brought back up, but it has to be Director Hawthorne that will bring it up, correct?
Well, that's, we don't adhere to Robert's rules, so I think it's just tabled
It's tabled.
until policy is
Okay.
clear.
Okay. Okay, moving on, item I, North Star staff update.
Good evening, Chair Handler and board members. Krista McKillop from North Star in Chico. And I'm here to give an update on the Bureau of Reclamation grant process. I apologize that I wasn't able to come and be here the night that you guys found out about the funding opportunity. It's kind of a day that'll be in my brain forever because about 9 o'clock on November 8th, in the midst of trying to make sure that family was safe during the campfire, got the notification from the Bureau of Reclamation that your grant had been funded, that you've been selected for the funding process actually. The federal government doesn't really move quickly on these kinds of things. They have process that they have to go through. It's there's western states that are included in our mid-pack region, and they have funding agreements to write for all of those applicants that were selected. I received notification 2 weeks ago that your funding agreement will be distributed to myself and the general manager for review and consideration to bring forward in April. So you will not be receiving funds from that grant process until that funding agreement has been signed and returned to the federal government. So the $75,000 that you will be receiving also requires $75,000 in matching funds. And so the concern about reimbursement for work done previously, we have detailed records that can potentially be used as the cost match, as well as the management, staff management of that $75,000 distribution will be utilized as match from the district for that. So we don't have the funds yet, but it's coming. So I just want to also thank the board that you and staff have developed relationships, and primarily the number one funding criteria for that grant was to have a project that was already documented in an existing planning process. And because the piping of the Dobbins-Oregon House Canal was listed in the Yuba Water Agency's Integrated Regional Water Management Plan, I think that's probably why you scored so well and were able to be funded. And so the efforts by this board to develop relationships with adjacent agencies and in work in neighboring communities to ensure that you can leverage funding and leverage planning efforts. The district's not gonna always have funds to put together planning documents that allow you to go after those funds, and so I just want to applaud your efforts, and I'm working with staff to search out other grant opportunities, and so anything that comes along that I can present to your general manager that he deems kind of lines up with his strategic funding and the will of this board, will bring back for your further information.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? Anybody? Okay, hearing none.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item J, General Manager's Report.
Yes, you have your operations memorandum with regards to item 2, the current outlook for irrigation. What we've done at staff level has been, we've cleared out the coffer dam at the headworks of 01 in anticipation of starting service on time. Going to start wetting up the ditch according to the water license. We have our guys out in the, on both 01, 02, and 03. They're pressing and grooming the ditches in preparation for that. And as you know, we've installed all of the pipes and the Walters Y improvements to get ready for this season. So our anticipation, the weather seems to, I can't quite predict the weather, but what we're going to do is, or what we're suggesting to you is, start the season and run it until it runs out. If you are okay with that, then that'll be the plan.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Okay?
absolutely.
That's
Did
it.
we, did we?
Uh,
Go ahead. That's not an action
No, I have
item, so-
3 of you nodding in the affirmative, so I'm good. I've got direction now. The New York House Bridge repairs, as you know, the construction went along just fine. We got everything done according to contract. The only trouble is when the county came back, as I previously reported, one of their contractors that was putting in the guardrails, they punched through our pipe, and so we had to go back there and replace or repair and pull out their guardrails out of our pipes, and so we could make the appropriate repairs. We have a bill into the county to be reimbursed for those monies. I anticipate that they will be coming shortly. I haven't heard anybody oppose it. They simply just, what they asked for at a county level was they wanted a breakdown of the expenses, material, labor, equipment, the total breakdown, and then they just needed a bill on our letterhead, and we provided them that. So I anticipate shortly they'll author a check. And that concludes my report.
I had a question. Normally, we don't experience many line breaks. I mean, they're few and far between, and spread out all over the place. But it looked like we had several in the airport area. Was that?
The airport area, since, from staff, I mean, even before my time, the airport area has been problematic because of surges in pressure. There are other places like above New York House Bridge that seem to have problems from time to time. A lot of the infrastructure that was installed is substandard from history. I mean, we've got Schedule 20 pipe in the ground, PVC that you can squeeze. And some places where we have Schedule 40 pipe, which is what you buy at the hardware store, we have glue joints fail. So it's just, it's basically, what I kind of envision is back in the early days, the district might have been struggling financially, and these were the best repairs or the best things they could install at the time. So moving forward, when we talk about our master plan and we talk about our hydraulic model, all of these things will be identified, and then we will, you know, with our funds, with our reserves, we'll allocate those monies for those repairs according to your wishes. But we'll identify a plan of update for the system. But as you know, funds being finite, and after consideration of the 2 ditches that we have, you know, they're kind of our priorities right now to get Forgestown done and get Dobbins Oregon House under repairs. So, as time and money prevail, but unless you have different feelings on the matter, I'm focused on Forgestown and Dobbins.
No, that's fine, it just seemed strange that in that small area, it looked like there were 3 breaks.
Cold weather, water surge, all those things contribute to it, but those are the ongoing problematic areas.
Just stay on the ditch. Focused on the ditch.
That's been the direction so far, I'm on it.
Then we'll dive into all that good stuff later. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none?
I have a question.
You have public input, or you have director's input, and then you've handled public input.
Public input.
Right.
So now you just have director's input.
I have a question on his report as a public.
We do.
It's up to you.
Wait, we could public comment.
Public comment.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Item.
The question is, I didn't quite hear how much.
Hang on, let me
Sorry.
break it. I'm gonna ask for a little bit of understanding from you guys. And,
Oh, yes, we
and the fact-
understand.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to run the meeting, and I
Mhm.
ask for a little patience from you, okay? And that if I hear the comments come out from you guys, I'm not gonna be a very nice person about it.
Are we not to comment?
No. I don't need you talking over at anybody else, and I don't wanna go down that road. So, Donna, go ahead.
I was unclear on how much of the lines have been cleaned with the machines, the masticator and how much, 1, 2, and 3, have you done them all, or partial, or?
You want me to answer? That's not a comment, that's a question. I can give you a tally if you want. Right now, we're attacking the areas that the staff considers to be the worst. And so we're spreading our time amongst all 3. But if you want a total tally of how far we've gone so far, we've been consistent, except for when the rains have made the roads impassable. But I can give you an update on that next time around. I don't have an exact number right now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Marieke Verney. I live at the end of, I guess, ditch 3, the end of the ditches. Comment or question? There is a repair that's been done 2 years ago with a tarp and a few sandbags. I would like to know if that part is also in view or in focus. Since the water runs right under it and leaks out, I would hope that this part will be considered in the near future for repair too. It looks kind of very funky. Thank you.
Good information.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Director's input. Okay.
I brought this up a month ago and then I didn't do it quite right. I'd like to ask the board to consider putting some items on the agenda for the next meeting to approve or disapprove of these items that are, in my own mind, one of the best ways to improve the relationship with our customers and the public. Some of these ideas. Number 1, provide a periodic communication to the customer base about the supply of irrigation water. I think we made a big mistake last year that we didn't explain it well, and we didn't continue to talk about it during the spring. So I think it's something that should happen certainly at this meeting once a month. Locate and retain a reliable weather forecasting company that can give us a report on local relevant factors that affect the amount of water that could potentially be in Dry Creek. through the spring. And I'd like to ask the board to help put together another irrigation customer briefing in March at the Alcoof Community Center. But instead of having to find a sponsor to put that meeting on, I'd like to suggest that the North Yuba Water District put the meeting on. That way we're not having to, anyway, it's much simpler. Number 2, revise the irrigation policy to incorporate the plan for signing new customers after the piping is completed. We're a year away or 2 years away, maybe we need to start thinking about how we're gonna deal with things like easements and other complicated problems that are gonna come up when we start selling more irrigation water in Dobbins and Oregon Health. Number 3, I think this is already happening. Ask the water agency for the money now, pay them later.
Yeah.
Number 4, I think 2 important things, not difficult or complicated, but important things that would help with our customer relations, is that we do a better job of explaining technical water issues with maps and pictures and documentation. Doug Nielsen's done a wonderful job of articles that he's written on his director's notebook, and that's been helpful. And I think the more maps, the better. Big maps with big words and dark lines around the words. Offer a brief question and answer session. This is probably the most difficult and complicated thing to do, but I think it would help if we could in some way organize a question answer session during the board meeting for people to ask questions like, what about this? We heard about that. This has been running around the rumor mill. What about that? Now, some of these questions you'd have to take as homework and come back next month and answer, potentially, that the board would have to answer them. But I think there are some board members, I know Doug is interested in this, and I certainly am, in being able to answer these kind of questions and are willing to do the homework to put it together. Okay, so I'm going to shut up now and just say, this is the world according to Gary Hawthorne, and would you be willing to have this as an agenda item at the next meeting to discuss and potentially vote on working on one or more of these projects? So what do you guys think? Maybe
All of these are things that I actually talked about in my campaign, so I'm on board with all of them.
Me
I was
too.
actually gonna ask if we
Yeah.
could have an ad hoc committee to work on not only these, but some other ideas also. I'd be willing to serve on the ad hoc. Gary sounds like he'd be willing, so that we could come up with some more ideas.
The format that I would propose would be that we meet in the context of the public meeting, and we stay away from committees, which are non-public. So what terrible things can happen in committee meetings, depending upon the intent of the folks that are involved. So I would argue that that's not a good venue, that the venue is this meeting right here, and it might take another 15 minutes or 20 minutes to go through something like that. And bring your best ideas forward. Let's discuss them here. We don't talk on the phone. We don't do that in our organization. Board members don't converse with each other privately because of the potential violation of the Brown Act. And behind every tree in the forest, there's a spy going to turn us in for the Brown Act. So we always do everything here, which sometimes gives you the impression that we don't know what the hell we're talking about because we haven't discussed it for 50 years already. But we haven't. We talk here, and this is where we meet and talk. So at least that's my opinion about the way it ought to be. So what's the procedure now for an up or down? Do we vote about this, Barbara? Or we can't vote on it because it's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
I'd like to ask you to
So he takes.
To help me put it on the agenda, that takes a vote, right?
Direction by three, is that, what's this?
Yeah, you have a resolution that says, in director's input, you can bring up suggestions, and if at least 3 board members are interested in pursuing that, all they have to do is signify and tell me which items you settled on, and then I'll make sure they're on the agenda.
So, 1, 2,
Mhm.
anybody else interested?
Sure.
What items specifically do you want to have them put on?
I would ask if we do this, that we have them as separate agenda items, not an up and down for 2 or 3 of them.
That's a good idea, that takes care of the
That way we
selection.
Because I'm not on with a lot of these.
Right, so there's basically 4,
Well, and I think the irrigation policy, we wanted to take it separately, and we should be setting those dates anyhow.
you know, this subject, though, this is about the specific subject of how we're gonna sign up new people, which is not in the normal policy. Because it wasn't ever a problem, we didn't have any new people,
Well, you have a moratorium.
or we didn't have more water.
But it could be part of the policy, right?
It should be part of the policy, yeah. And it should be part of our planning, you know, what are we gonna do when the door opens? What are we gonna walk through and say?
So do you wanna do one at a time? In other words, is what I'm hearing you say, that we put, say, number 1 on the agenda for next time, and then,
But you can put them all on, I just want them as separate
Separate votes,
oh,
items,
okay,
separate
gotcha.
votes.
yeah,
Okay,
separate votes.
yeah, that's,
So it'd be 4 points on item J.
Because you'll get a really nice
Or-
one passed
or
at the
like
same time as a really
A
crap.
workshop.
yeah.
Right,
Well, it sounds like we're,
there are no crappy
Because-
votes.
so we are,
There's other ideas.
so it sounds like we're all in favor of putting all 4 separate items on.
Well, do we have anybody interested in doing this, first of all? Can we just have a show of hands to see
Yes.
if anybody's interested in doing it?
Well, like Doug, there's a couple of them we need to do, for sure.
Right.
So would you be
Well,
willing
I
to,
want the irrigation policy, and I wanna move forward with that. I don't wanna do it, but we need to do it.
Number 2,
Okay, so we have consent for number 2 to be on the, to start working on that, and then any others.
we don't need to put 3.
No,
I would need clarity on funding for what?
Yeah, we don't need to do 3. 3 is already done, it's taken care of.
So we should put 1 and 4 on the agenda also, but as separate things, we're not sticking them together.
Yeah, 1, 2,
Separate.
say 1, 2, and 4. Is that okay, Doug?
yeah. Are you, God, 1 even, I would break it down, 1A, 1B, 1C. Each separate sentence on here, have as a separate vote.
yep.
Okay, great.
And then we'll see how it goes.
So did I get it on the agenda?
So you'd be looking at,
Talk to us
1, 2,
next
3, 4,
Sounds like
5,
it,
6,
Gary.
7,
I
8,
think you made it.
9 total.
It's complicated, it's
Okay.
complicated.
That
That's what it
works.
looks like. If I was to add them,
That
all my
works.
math, 9 separate points.
9 separate points.
Okay, so I have 1, 2, and 4?
Yeah, but we're gonna break them into 9 pieces.
I understood, I understand. I just wanted to make sure that if these are all the elements that everybody concurs we're doing. And this is going to start as a discussion item, right? And then those discussion items that you concur on will move to action items. Is that correct?
You tell me.
Say that one more time.
Yes,
And that you've agreed to discuss these things, correct? So I'm proposing that they go on the agenda and under discussion, and then when you folks concur on a course of action from your discussions, then it'll move to an action item to be approved and moved forward.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So I have a couple of things there. So this kind of ties in with Gary, and Gary actually asked me to share this, and I intended to. So this is a very informal survey that I did started this in December using this little survey monkey thing. And I put together what I hoped would be pretty simple questions. Turns out it's a little bit more difficult to come up with survey questions than one would think. And a couple things that I learned from this, so I want to pass this out, you all have a copy. Or actually, here, let me just send them down there. So there were a couple things that I learned from the exercise.
One thing.
I believe so,
Okay.
yeah, I believe so.
Can we get one extra?
Do we
I
have?
think we do.
You can keep, oh yeah, there you go. So, a couple things that I learned from this is that reaching out to all of you, the public, and I was not targeting one subset of customers. I targeted all customers. And so the first challenge that we have is how to actually reach out to people and get people to respond. If this were a science experiment, we actually had a decent response, because in science, your rule of thumb is 30. But we had about 39 responses, which is not very exciting. So that was something that I learned from this, is that we're probably, as we're working on the image of the district, impressions of the district, we're going to have to use more than just an online survey. It doesn't seem to have a huge response. In the same vein though, even mail-out surveys don't have a huge response either, which was borne out in the median household income study, which had a response rate of only something like 8%.
The median income study.
Yeah, the median household.
23%, I think.
Yeah, 23%. It's very small, it's very low, which was surprising to me. But the other thing, there are patterns that you can see in this. We clearly have our work cut out for us. If you go to the last page, this is actually people's legitimate comments. This was a blind survey. There was no way to know who was actually taking the survey. But this is for you guys to look at, and as I said, I learned a lot from it. So 2 things, we have our work cut out for us working on the district's image, and also we need to come up with other ways of reaching out to people in an online survey or mail-in survey, because they definitely don't have a huge response. Couple other things I would like to pass out. I know that Doug has been working on this snow challenge. So I wanted to just provide this to you, Doug, and for everybody. This is a resident that lives in Challenge. You know, folks around here have interesting things that they do, and this one resident in Challenge has been tracking snow and rain and a lot of other things too, like bear and deer, for over 30 years, every day. And so I just wanted to pass this out to you, make this available to you. These are data, obviously, by a resident, and of course you can get more fulsome data by going to the actual SUNY's weather stations instead. The last thing that I wanted to bring up is actually something that is of grave concern to me, and I think it's going to be of grave concern to each of you on this board. I don't know how much many of you are aware that a letter went out at the 1st of January. A letter was mailed out to the domestic customers of the North Yuba Water District. This letter, which is the last page of your printout, this is the actual envelope that it came in. It was postmarked January 4th, postmarked out of Sacramento. And this letter went to domestic customers only. Now, one of my concerns is that the addresses of North Yuba customers is confidential. No one should have those addresses for domestic customers, and yet they did. And this is a letter from a group called North Yuba Water.
Or irrigation customers.
Our irrigation customers.
I'm saying
correct.
they should not have either list.
They should not have any list of any of our
It's against the California
customers.
state law to
That
have
is
a
correct.
utility list.
Correct. So no one should have this list other than the folks that are doing the billing in North Yuba. So this is.
Including the board.
Including the board, thank you. Okay, so no one should have those, yet this letter was mailed to all the domestic customers. It is an organization that's calling itself NYWDBoard.org. And down here, it says, please take our survey. It's available online here. And then again, this was mailed out January 4th, and then it tells us, oh, the North Yuba Water District meeting is January 31st. Okay, now, if you go to the page previous to that, you will see a card that was posted at the deli, at the Oregon House Deli. This card was posted, notice, North Yuba Water District meeting January 31st, and it then says, the availability of water for irrigation customers may be discussed. However, irrigation customers should prepare for the likely possibility of no irrigation water this year. Now, many people were far from done, folks. So, many people are probably on the Oregon House Dobbins community page. Mr. Sharp posted on the Oregon House community page, hey, look, I just found this survey. Take this survey. Well, at the time, I thought he was posting about my survey, because I had posted that in the Oregon House Dobbins page, the one that I just gave you guys a copy of. And I thought, oh, how cool, he's publicizing the survey. So I clicked on it. And to my surprise, it took me to this place, which is the North Yuba Water. And I've given you, what I did is I took screenshots of every single page on the North Yuba Water site. And I've also given you a box, because if you're like me, you can't read this little tiny print. So this is an actual print version of what this says. And what it says is that North Yuba Water is a group of concerned irrigation customers, citizens, officials, and water professionals trying to find a viable solution to providing a reliable source of water, blah, 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 blah. Then we go on, and what I've done is I've copied each of the tabs for you. Now, it should be of specific interest to you that here's the survey. I actually cut out the survey itself and made it larger again so that you can all read it. The survey are the following questions. Did you know that North Yuba Water District charges the highest rates to domestic water customers compared to South Feather and BVID? Are you happy with how much you pay for your water? Did you know that North Yuba Water District domestic customers subsidize the irrigation customers? Are you in favor of growing marijuana even though it's illegal? And you can see the other questions, and it ends down here with, did you know that Gretchen Floor is an irrigation district customer? Everyone should be aware of that, because I made that very, very publicly known. So, continuing on, you'll see all these other pages about the forum and the wrath of the moderator, and then we get to canals. Here's the page directly off the North Yuba website. Here is another page directly, and then we get to directors, and look at what's on their directors page. Us. So this is essentially presenting the North Yuba Water District directors as if we're directors of this North Yuba Water organization, whoever it is. This is something that should be of legal concern to this district. It has links to North Yuba Water District, South Feather, and the director's notebook. And then the disclaimer. The website authors assume no responsibility or liability for any errors or omissions in the content. The information contained is guaranteed on an as-is basis with no guarantee of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timelines. And then there's a whole thing on privacy. So I'm bringing this to the board's attention because this concerns all of us. Our faces are on this website. These folks are behind the letter that was sent out. And the outcome, the result of this is divisiveness. Not only divisiveness, but fraud in making it appear that we are actually part of this organization. So I don't know what you want to do with this, but I did want to bring it to your attention. You all have copies now. The survey, by the way, has been taken down at this point. because whoever the people are who put this up were threatened with legal action, and so the survey was removed. But the rest of the website is still up, and you can go online and you can see all of this for yourself.
I did a who is on it, and they have private registration. So you have to be a good hacker to figure out who owns the thing. I think it's registered in Canada.
But it's clearly somebody who's not in Canada, so they're bouncing the signals around. The letter was posted in Sacramento, and it was sent to domestic customers. So whoever the individual is behind the website is also involved in the letter, because the letter tells you, go take our survey. So that's clearly the same people, and whoever that individual is has the addresses, and that's a problem, as well as the fraud of making it look as though our directors are actually involved in this organization, which we're not.
And I didn't get a letter.
Neither did I.
Interesting.
Generally, stuff sent out of this nature, they leave us off.
Yeah, well.
So this was
they did.
mailed leaving us off.
Yeah. So anyways, I wanted to make all of you aware of what I had found out here, and the attorney who hopefully can take some action on this, because this is not good.
Thank you for the effort.
You're welcome.
On a similar subject, I want to point out that there have been people showing up at other organizations saying that they're from North Yuba Water District. They may have meant they're customers of North Yuba Water District, but that never seems to get out there. At some point here, if it doesn't stop, I'd like to ask the board to set aside some time to notify basically all the agencies that we deal with that nobody is authorized to speak for the board unless the board has pre-authorized it. And in the cases of these various meetings, South Feather, Yuba Water Agency, and whatnot, there was no authority given by us for anybody to speak or ask for anything coming down the pike.
No, it wasn't.
The bottom line is they show up at these meetings and then we get a phone call saying, what are you guys trying to do? And so it's essentially, it's just diversionary, what's the term? It distracts from what we're doing. And if people have an issue, I would recommend all of you say they can come and talk. They may not get an answer that day, but they'll get an answer. And the idea of expressing this stuff to other organizations, to me, is sort of, I don't know, crazy.
Also, we have done a resolution where Jeff is the spokesperson.
That's right.
For the organization, not the board members. So no single board member can go pretend as though they're the fountain of truth.
Or that they have inside knowledge. I mean, they may have inside knowledge, but without permission from the board. A quorum of the board.
We have to agree
Yeah.
as a quorum that,
Yeah, this person can go there, and this is the message to be given. So, yeah.
We've dealt with misinformation before, and that's how
All
it
the
came
time.
down to, by a board action at a board meeting, I would represent whatever that action or message was. I don't know how to overcome people that want to.
that's where I was gonna go with this. I was gonna kind of, I understand it's gonna be, stuff like this is gonna happen. There's gonna be groups that are gonna oppose our work we've done and what we're gonna continue to do. Why? I don't know. I've asked myself that question many times and I can't come up with an answer sometimes. But I'm looking at the big picture is we've done a lot and let's keep it going. Here as a group.
Put on the blinders and get the dig pipe.
Just get it
And
done.
everything extends from
Keep
that.
rolling the way we're going.
Right.
Is there any public input to this?
No,
No, it's directors.
It's directors.
Is there's no comment?
Anyone else?
You have my agenda item.
yes.
Okay.
see if I could even put it all together again. I'd like to direct the manager to develop a draft policy within the next 2 to 3 weeks, with the Forbes-town ditch still being the priority. That he put together a draft policy for us to approve that would set out guidelines for the use of resolutions by this board to acknowledge the effort of individuals, organizations, and possibly vendors that have gone above and beyond to help the district move ahead. I would ask that include past board members, and that we make any resolutions that are given by the board retroactive to the members of the last board that are currently not in their position. So that would be 4 members from the last board. And I guess that's 2 boards ago, and 1 member from the last board who would be eligible for resolution.
You want a policy for appreciation?
Yes.
Okay, but then you want a second to put out appreciation to the 4 people? Or is that separate? Just right now, policy of appreciation policy, whatever.
Yes.
I'll second. So,
Policy, just so I know, a policy describing whom we will author resolutions of appreciation to.
Yes.
The criteria.
but not by name, the
No,
criteria.
that's not what I heard.
The criteria for
An appreciation policy, he wants an appreciation policy developed, and then he wants it extended retroactively to over the last 4 years.
So what, the way this will work is we will give direction.
Can I interject
Go ahead.
before you go too far? For me, the policy establishes the who, what, when, where, right? Then the retroactive is kind of a separate issue, because if I include that in the policy, you know what I'm saying, if I include that in the work, so the who, what, when, and where would have to be a separate item in my mind.
Basically, under what circumstances do we put out a thing of appreciation?
That would be the policy.
That's what you're asking. And then once it's in place, we can come back
Then
and
you
say
can elect
the
his-
4 people.
Yeah, then you can suggest he could be recognized under the policy.
And I'll second.
And the policy can indicate that it could be retroactive.
Okay, so I've got,
You got it?
We have
everybody nod in the
Yeah, I think
affirmative?
everyone agrees.
That's
with
what we
that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I understand the momentum, okay?
Thank you.
Anything else for director's input? Hearing none.
Oh wait, sorry, one other quick thing. There is gonna be some more director's notebook stuff. Again, I'm not gonna tell you what it is because I'm not getting input from you guys. But it's coming, I've laid off on it. I apologize for that, but there's a lot of stuff. And it again will be strictly on the technical issues. I'm not gonna get personal, political, or anything like that. I don't care, but put out the record on what the data shows, so to speak. So look forward in the coming 10 years.
Okay. That it? Anyone else?
I'll make a
Okay.
motion, we
Hearing
adjourn.
none. Yep, need a motion for adjournment.
You got it?
We're adjourned. Hawthorne.
Gary,
I'm sorry.
that guy.
All in
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.